What up, gamers? Spencer here, and welcome back to my reaction to the Theorizer's Pixar Mega Theory. So last time we watched the videos of Finding Nemo, and now we're about to watch some videos for the last part of the first Pixar Mega Theory here, where we'll be ending off with theories that I assume will tie everything together with the three trilogies of theories that we watched it with Emma Jean and with Ratatouille and with Finding Nemo. We got the Pixar Ginger Conspiracy. Every Pixar character a family tree. That's going to be probably really big to watch. And then the five-dimensional Pixar timeline. I don't even know what that even looks like. And then finally, Toy Story 4 confirmed all his theories, which, from the thumbnail here, it looks like this might be Emma Jean. But yeah, that'll be like a good way to like wrap things up because we begin with Emma Jean, and I guess we're about to end with Emma Jean. But first, let's go watch the yeah the Pixar Ginger Conspiracy, which I assume will include like characters like Darla and Linguini over here because they're both redheads. Okay, let's go ahead and watch the Pixar Ginger Conspiracy. Here we go.
Wow, okay. I don't even know where to begin with this video. This is the video I've been building to since my channel began. A theory so complete, speculation so absurd, ideas so integral. If my recent theories on Pixar films have been any example, you'll see that I'm correct when I say brainstorming spawns truth. The only
Okay.
video you probably have to watch before this one would be my very first Pixar multiverse theory. It's only 10 or 15 minutes long.
The
I'll
what?
link it
Wait, have I watched this? I already watched this, right?
one, a brainstorming spawns truth. The only video you probably have to watch before this one would be my very first Pixar multiverse theory. It's only 10 or
Okay.
15 minutes long.
You know what? Let me check really quick just to make sure I did watch that because I don't know if this is the same video that we watched before. Okay, I checked. Yeah, that's the one that we watched. That's the pretty much the very first one, but let's continue.
The rest I think I can summarize for a few minutes here.
Okay. Skip to 306 if you don't want the brief recap, but either watch the recap or watch the hour's worth of theories. I take 2 minutes to recap here. No, I'll listen to it. I mean, for me, um, I'm gonna. I'd rather like remember everything. Like especially if he's gonna recap, I assume that's gonna be related to the video here. So he'll probably like highlight the more important info for me to remember.
Alright, so in 2015 I began by speculating on how Remy from the film Ratatouille controls Linguini with his hair. It was a very short and pathetic video, but it began to come to some lore conclusions. I started 2016 by building a massive timeline of hidden events by piecing together the lives of characters such as Anton Ego and Chef Cousteau, deeply tying them together through the old woman at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, I
Later
would say so far that's probably my favorite trilogy of theories when it comes to the Pixar mega theory. But yeah, this one like yeah, I do like it a lot.
that
I
year, I
do.
used the unifying factor of a mystery woman known as Emma Jean to directly prove how at least Up, Toy Story, and Inside Out all took place in the same universe, and a fractured family tree is split across those films. I also redid my Ratatouille timeline
I assume that with all these Pixar films, they got to like I feel like for the most part exist within the same universe. I know there's some like reoccurring companies. Like I know like I think Dynaco, we might have seen like in other ones. And also there's another one. I forgot. There was like another company that they keep on referencing. But even like other stuff too, like where they show um other Pixar characters in other Pixar movies. So yeah, there's that.
here. In 2017, I began brainstorming ideas on both these theories, and in
So like I'm sure you
2018,
can
I
make a
solved
connection that
everything for Ratatouille
they're in the
and
same
unsolved
universe.
the mystery of Andy's dad from Toy Story. So
Whoa,
as you
wait,
can
hold on, what? How long was this whole mega theory? Hold on, let me hear it again. Like from 2016?
those films. I also redid my Ratatouille timeline here. In 2017, I began brainstorming ideas on both these theories, and in 2018, I solved everything for Ratatouille and unsolved the mystery of Andy's dad from Toy Story.
Dang. Yeah, this took him years to do this whole playlist. Wow.
So as you can see, we've been developing this multiverse theory for quite some time, And finally, earlier this very year, I made my longest theory ever by a long shot, dissecting Darla and P. Sherman's family from Finding Nemo, inverting the famous Pixar theory, and managing to, in a stunning turn of events, tie it and Ratatouille both to the Emma Jean theories. Now, I've made theories on many other Pixar films, but either they aren't relevant here or they don't have any proof of existing in this little Pixar universe. But these 5 movies, the speculative mind blow you're about to receive, I have never, in the over 3.5 years I've been theorizing, been
You know
so
what's funny?
critically.
Going back to that picture now, if they are all in the same universe, does that mean that all these other characters here, they also have like their own emotions from Inside Out?
In the over 3.5 years
Like
I've
lore
been
wise, they that means
theorizing,
they
been
gotta
so
have their
unequivocally
own
excited, so
emotions inside them.
absolutely hyped, and so hyperactively shook to bring you what you're about to see. I myself didn't even know it was coming until my aha moment upon writing the Finding Nemo Theory trilogy. And if you aren't open to this sort of thing, like brainstorming between the lines of Pixar films, that's fine. You can say,
No,
"Oh,
I'm
they're
open
just
to I'm open
movies,"
to it.
but if you're into this kind of thing,
You know, like I'm not always going to probably agree with everything, but I'm always opening to like, you know, hear about some possibilities and some theories. Because in the end, whether it's like true or not, it's always just fun to hear.
Pixar Studios themselves is hiding Easter
It's
eggs
just
across their
fun.
movies and revealing them, then the treat you're about to
And
receive
that's
is
pretty much what I
something
get
I
from
don't
the
even know
Theorizer's
how to
videos here.
explain fully. And now that we're all caught up, I'm so excited to finally do this.
Here we go, man. Let's do it. And then yeah, we got like a couple more videos too. It kind of feels like the finale, but we definitely got like a couple of more to go.
Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and that little pre-intro monologue was necessarily atrociously long, but I can't stall anymore. Here's what I've discovered about these 5 films, and their directly pentagonal connections. So first of all, I call it the Californian Quintet, because Toy Story is implied
What?
to take place in California, within a
Oh.
location more specifically known as the Tri-County area. Inside Out mostly takes place in San Francisco, and Up takes place wherever it does, but it's all directly tied in with these 2 other movies. But upon tying in Morro Bay and Renetta's American backstory during the Finding Nemo theories from weeks ago, that also brings Finding Nemo and Ratatouille into the mix here, making it 5 Pixar franchises at least that take place in this mini universe within California. Films like
Within
WALL-E
California.
and The Incredibles have their own timeline, but I've noticed that the focus of
I wonder why he chose California because there's like multiple different places, like he said with San Francisco and also yeah, Australia, right? With Finding Nemo.
this little timeline seems to be smart animals that think and talk as well as humans can. And
Unless is
who
that
knows?
lab? I kind of forgot. Was that one lab in California? The one like aquatic lab?
Maybe Monsters Inc. stores are breaching space-time and poking not back in time, like the famous Pixar theory states, but rather into a whole different branch of the Pixar multiverse. This one, which of
Multiverse.
course makes sense then, given the appearance of Boo's room and the Easter eggs found throughout. Anyways, Finding Nemo has astronomical amounts of proof stating that both it, Finding Dory, and the Incredibles short film Bound In all take place in this miniverse. But Ratatouille is, for now,
Okay.
based only in assumption from the concepts of animal intelligence and Renata moving to the US. But that problem is what I'm solving here. I mean, I can't just leave that gobsmacking ending to my Finding Nemo theory trilogy just sitting there forever, so let's now go into that. Riley Anderson is seen in the Marine Life Institute of
Yeah, I
Finding
do
Dory
remember
on a
that.
class field trip to Morro Bay, coming from San Francisco. Its placement in this universe is quite clear, obvious, easy, but Ratatouille, all we know from my fervent theorizing is that Linguini's mother moved from Paris to America after getting pregnant because of Gusteau. She eventually moved back and died there, but Renata Linguini isn't the only mystery redhead in this pentology of films.
Darla.
There are 2 more, who
Two
come
more?
frighteningly close to fitting Renata's description.
I can't think of the second one. I can only think of Darla. What about that one guy from Incredibles? I don't think the Incredibles are factored in here, right? Wasn't that one villain? Or was it? Am I thinking of another film? Am I thinking of Megamind? I think I might be thinking of Megamind. Never mind. That one, like that. I guess that one guy that's like, I guess neutral at first, kind of like a bad guy, but then turns like into the villain. I think I'm thinking about Megamind. Yeah, never mind
For
then.
those still somehow unaware, Emma Jean is a mystery
Yeah,
woman who
Megamind
was
is
Carl
DreamWorks,
Fredrickson's
not
previous
Pixar.
love interest in the film Up. This was openly confirmed by the directors. Now, she was never actually seen in the movie, but her name was seen as the sender.
Oh no, wait, no, the villain in Incredibles, he was a redhead too, right? I forgot because I thought he like was blonde, right? But then I trying to remember his like villain design. I think he had red hair.
Of a letter to Carl and Ellie, which is on Andy Davis's wall from Toy Story 3. Emma was Carl's love interest at a time right before he married his childhood best friend Ellie, and though Emma Jean divorced Carl, they all remained very good friends. Again, this was literally all revealed by the actual director, Pete Docter, in an interview with the Carlin brothers. It's mind-blowing, really, but this all leaves basically one huge question. Who is Emma Jean in the movies? Do we see anyone who actually fits her criteria? I keep looking back to Carl and Ellie's wedding because the couple in the first row appears to be the perfect age, the perfect excitement level, the perfect everything. But we need to test the genetics before it can ever truly become on my radar. So let's finally go deeper. If Emma Jean is best friends with Carl and Ellie, then she's bound to be at their wedding. There's no shred of doubt based on what we know about their relationships. What we need to do is eliminate the people seen here. Emma Jean's significance in being a red herring in Toy Story 3 is integral, and means she'd be here at the wedding, in the very least, given her massive friendship with the Fredricksons. The likelihood that she is near the front and with the eccentric people is also high, given her elusiveness but importance everywhere else. So with this knowledge
The way he edits
intact,
this.
we move on to the third and final mystery woman, established a few weeks ago in my Finding Nemo Theory trilogy, Darla's mother. Darla has red hair, and we established that it was more likely that her mother over father had red hair, given Philip Sherman's genetics. He and Darla's dad show none of her genes. If there's one key thing that's notable in all of this, it's that there is one major consistency that can be seen. Miraculously, Renata and Mommy Darla both have red hair. Linguini's mother is all but visually confirmed to follow this trait, given Linguini's strikingly rare genetic makeup, which is nothing like Gusteau's. Darla is the same, and Emma Jean could also have this trait, judging from the average hair color of the people at the wedding. So are they all the same person? I jokingly exaggerated this at the end of the Nemo theories, but while I don't think that's
I mean, I can definitely
I
see his connection there. I feel like it's a man. That's kind of crazy how like Emma Jean probably is just connecting all these series together, all these movies.
do think this consistency could mean something more. I believe that we can pin down the years all of these franchises take place by using one key detail. The fact that all three women are the Linguini sisters.
Linguini's sisters? Yeah, so I never knew Linguini had sisters. I guess maybe he might have mentioned it one time, but I guess I don't remember. Linguini's sisters? Okay. So there'll be three sisters in total. I guess Renata. No, Renata wouldn't be a sister. That'd be kind of weird.
Speculation territory, unevidential hypothesis.
Yeah, let me just
Warning.
hear him out.
If you are a hyper-realistic person that is out to debunk my theories, look away. This is the part where I brainstorm like mad. Additionally, I'm saying it here so you don't need to comment that it's ridiculous as clarification. Oh, but you will. You will. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Brainstorming like this has led to such revelations as the entire Finding Nemo theory trilogy, so brace yourself for what's to come. This will not be factual, but I'm about to state a bunch of things I can work off of. Oh boy. Due to this whole recap and now finding and tying evidence together, I'm gonna have to throw up all my ideas right now and sort them out over the course of like a week.
Okay.
Pixar. What
So I
is
assume
this?
he's about to.
Emma remarried and is a Jean.
Oh, here we
This
go.
is key. We don't know her true last name. Wishing you were here in Australia, like Darla's mother, whose appearance we only deduced based off of what is implied. She is Australian now, but perhaps not always. It's possible she moved there after meeting Darla's father when he traveled to America to work at the Institute, assuming he did that for a while pre-Nemo. Finally, Renata Linguini. Only the last name, but she's the second confirmed mystery mom who has the orange hair rarity of Pixar films. The only other one that exists for certain is Ellie, or at least as a non-dyed child. Shockingly enough, many have considered Ellie to be the sibling to Emma Jean prior to the reveals. This has been discussed before, but never ever in the history of existence in this context. If she is related to Emma, then that gives evidence to the notion that Emma too is a redhead, confirming all of this if we could establish a familial relationship. But that final question, posed 2.5 years ago by myself, must be answered first. Who is Emma Jean married to now? In this video so far, we've taken the much needed time to recap all I've done. And then we
It felt like a really big
established the main
recap.
theory proving who the three sisters could be, if they're sisters at all, brainstorm style. But the proof is there for something multiverse related. Next time I'll solve Emma's new love interest amongst the rest I just posed and create a final family tree. This was just getting everything back into the groove, back into the
Yeah, I
loop,
felt like with this
bringing out
video,
all the evidence, all the speculation, all the brainstorming.
I feel like it was
I will
just
spend
one
an
big
entire week
introduction, like a little
trying
tease
to
of like what's
solve
coming
this,
up.
if there is any possible way to do that.
Like he
Everything loops
presented
back.
the idea
This guy, Gary, Jerry, whatever his name is,
of like the Linguini
relates to
sisters,
Emma Jean, who relates to
and I
Andy,
assume
who
he'll
gave
like
him the
go through all
toy,
of that
who
in that
fixed the
big
toy.
family tree video.
But Emma's last name is Jean now, but how does eye color change Jerry's identity? How does Riley have a smartphone in Nemo's 2004 universe? Ratatouille's short film star is Linguini's brother. Chess piece is all. Only other
Wait,
old
now just
guy in
Linguini's
Pixar
brother?
is timeline coordinate. Too much. As you can see, I need the time to regroup and organize now that everything's out on the table. Until then, please subscribe so you don't miss the biggest Pixar reveals I've ever done.
Okay.
Still yet to come. Until then, I'm the Theorizer.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed earlier where I was just really quiet. I was like trying my best to like listen, but there was like so much information like coming into my brain where it was hard for me to visualize. I think I'm gonna give this video like one more rewatch before I watch the next one here. So yeah, I'll rewatch this video again, then move on to the next one. Okay, I'm back. I rewatched the video. Actually, I didn't feel like I missed anything. I guess I was more like just like confused on like what he said when he said like the Guini sisters, like it being like all those the three people, including Renata, like just being the mother. I don't know if he meant to say like Linguini's mother's sisters. So yeah, the mother's sisters. So I'm guessing Renata would be one of them. Um and then also he mentioned that there's a Linguini's brother, which he said is from a short film. I think I remember seeing that before, but that was also like a long time ago. I think it starred Remy and Emile, right? In a cartoon form. If that's like what he's referencing. But yeah, I don't remember much about that. But yeah, let's go ahead and watch the every Pixar character a family tree. Yeah, I feel like uh yeah, hopefully I don't get confused. I feel like there's gonna be like so much like going back and forth, trying to connect things together. But yeah, we'll see if I can take it all in. So yeah, here we go.
Hello, I'm the Theorizer.
Hello, Theorizer. Intro already, alright. Just as high and just straight to the intro cinematic. Alright, here we go, man. The Theorizer.
Let us do this. No stalling, no confusion, pure
Alright.
organization. You'll know everything if you simply watch the first half of this analysis. I had to split the theory in 2 videos because it became way too complex to cram into one, so I'll link part 1 in the box in the top right corner of the screen.
Yep, I have
Now,
watched that and
get
rewatched it again.
Got it. Good. So this requires lots of infographics and organizable animations. We have Emma Linguini Jean, Mrs. Linguini Sherman, and Renata Linguini Gusteau. The red-headed female Linguini triplets spread across the world map, reaching France, Australia, and all across America, spanning Finding Nemo, Ratatouille, Up, Inside Out, and Toy Story. All contained to a single
So
universal prong
when he says
of great
Linguini sisters, I'm just, like I said, assuming it's just the mother sisters.
Pixar multiverse. In this universe, animals are the
Is that
focus.
sounded a
Their
bit weird at first?
intelligence
Cause
and
like I thought it meant
interrelations
like
with humanity.
actually his
More could
sisters.
tie in, but later, because for now, we have a small list of questions required to solve, allowing us to evidentially flatten out the logic before we make the tree. First, we solve the most key of all key questions. Did Jerry Jean marry Emma Linguini? Gary or Jerry, I have no idea
He talked
how
about
to
that too in the
pronounce
previous
that.
video.
I'll just rotate back and forth throughout the video. Is a man from Pixar's short film Jerry's Game. The short film involves him, an old man, playing chess in a park.
Yeah,
He
this was a
walks to
great
the other side of
short
the board
film.
and pretends to be a snarky opponent playing chess against his cleverly meek self with glasses. That's all. And he's one of the only main character old people in the Pixar universe. It seems rather obvious at first that he could be a potential candidate for any man Emma Jean remarried, but don't let the short film convince you of something's canonicity. Instead, look no further than in Toy Story 2, where we see him yet again. He is a toy fixer, a cleaner, and he fixes up Woody for the collector. Lo and behold, amongst his tools we see a chess piece, referencing the short film. It's the exact same man, aside from a minor
I never
change in
noticed that.
glasses.
I
And
probably did, but then I forgot
unfortunately,
about
the
it.
big
But
one, eye color.
yeah,
I do believe Pixar has done this to throw us off the scent, despite everything else being identical, including the chess piece. The hair is slightly different too, but Pixar chose to change the eye color, so
yeah, the eye color
what
is weird.
evidence trumps the other? A slight change in eye color? Or a full-blown chess piece as reference? I don't know, maybe they're twins. Maybe Gary's Game is about him pretending to be his twin who died and he cannot cope.
Oh,
Okay, hold on. That's
you know what? I do like that idea. A twin, and he wants to battle his twin again. That's like the lore of Jerry's Game. I kind of like that.
left field and nuts. No, I think that if anything, it's the toy cleaner who's more tied into all of this. So let's just call this guy Gary or Jerry or whatever, the updated model. This guy in Toy Story 2 who has more story. We know he cleans toys.
Yeah, I'm sure maybe in the end it's just probably like you said, an updated model. I'm not sure if they really factored in the eye color to be consistent. Like, yeah, maybe they want it to be more standing out. Like especially when he's got the glasses on and he's like inspecting like really hard. I'm sure they want to make emphasis on the eyes, going from like brown to I guess blue.
Clearly does play chess, but has very distinct, genetically characteristic, bright blue eyes, like many other characters in my tree here. It's the prime consistency.
Note, they're not green like some Pixar characters, but they're also not blue. They're a mix. Helpful indeed.
It's almost like Pixar intentionally gave him blue eyes to fit him in here. It truly
It
is
could be.
peculiar.
But like I said, it could be just an art thing where they just want to update the model, maybe just for that scene where they want to emphasize on the eyes.
It's like they're doing it to benefit
It's
the
got some
story,
massive eyes.
not debunk it. Now that we've got a basis for our brainstormed tree, we have to prove it. Most of this is exclusively based on patterns like timing, locations, genetics, and last names, and we have to confirm all of those promptly. First, we'll do the genetics. You can see first off that Linguini has a huge nose like Gary, but primarily, Pixar tends to factor in hair color and eye color when they want to denote a genetic consistency, as we've seen. So let's check.
I like that picture of Linguini.
We already know that the individual family trees of the Fredericksons, the Shermans, and the Cousteau family are accurate, but here's the grand family tree I'm proposing.
Ooh.
Since I've had a whole week to mull it over, I've realized that the
Here we go. I kind of want to see that.
family tree I'm proposing.
Okay. Yeah, now there's Jerry and Emma Jean. Yet Jerry has now been added. What the heck? Jerry's going down here? Oh. And he probably is the father of Darla's mother.
Since I've had a whole week to mull it over, I've realized that timing is not completely in favor of this idea of the Linguini triplets, which means Emma Jean is more likely to be of a higher generation like Gary, Carl, and Ellie. The connection points we have added involve that of Mrs. Sherman and Renata Linguini, which means in order to prove much of anything, we need to tie them to Gary's final model form. So we know Darla has green eyes and Linguini has brown eyes. Since Cousteau has greenish blue eyes, that means Renata must have brown eyes. Darla has greenish blue eyes, and her uncle, and likely her father, have blue eyes. This means
Yeah, I feel
Renata
like when it comes to this part, I feel like I'm gonna get a bit lost in because there's so much to really take in and memorize.
must have a slightly more dominant trait like green or brown. None of this is consistent with Gary's new
Yeah, a
model,
lot
which
of like
has
back and
blue
forth.
eyes. It
So I do
is,
apologize if
however,
I sound
indicative of
stupid.
Emma Jean having dark eyes, which is interesting because if you remember the one single genetic abnormality of the original family tree, it was that Jill Anderson has brown eyes. Given Riley's blue eyes and blonde hair, we stated that it must be a fact that she had a previous ancestor with blue eyes, since her father is
Yeah,
also brown all the
I
way. You
remember
might
that
say
where
that that's
I learned that genetics can apparently skip generations, like skip over from their kids and move on to the next one. Yeah, that's a cool thing I learned from him,
looking more
from
and
the
more like
Theorizer.
Emma Jean, but the only way for Renata and Mrs. Sherman to possibly have the eyes they do is if Emma has brown eyes and red hair. So if Jerry has blue eyes now and Emma must have dark eyes, then Riley's blue eyes almost certainly come from Carl Fredricksen. It is solved. So the three mystery women, they all have red hair and brown or green eyes. They're probably freckled too if Darla
Okay.
Sherman and Alfredo Linguini are of any indication. The blue-eyed consistency on the
So wait, can
Carl
I
side
go back to that? So let's see. Mrs. Sherman, which is I guess over here would be. Yeah, Mrs. Sherman, green or brown eyes, red hair. At least there's a pretty much everyone. Renata, Emma Jean, and I guess somewhere around here, I assume. Or I guess no, Darla's mother. My bad. Darla's mother here. So probably they have like brown eyes and red hair at least.
hair and brown or green eyes. They're probably freckled too if Darla Sherman and Alfredo Linguini are of any indication. The blue-eyed consistency on the Carl side of Emma's family tree is restricted to there, and the red hair deviated onto this side. Emma
Mm.
Jean, this woman who has been a mystery for ages now, is none other than the matriarch of Pixar. Now,
You know, when you
genetically, it
look at
makes
this
sense.
list here, Emma Jean really is kind of like the center focus of this whole first part of the Pixar mega theory. She's kind of like holding it all together with like both of her arms, like from this left side to the right side. Like, yeah, this is a big family tree.
But we need to circumvent another obstacle: surnames. Emma Jean
Oh, all right, let's go continue here about the surnames.
Emma Jean has 4 daughters in this theoretical model I'm brainstorming upon right now, and all of them have since taken the last names of their husbands, all except Renata, who we know carries the surname Linguini. This is inconsistent with Emma, whose last name is
Wait, what?
presumably
The surname Linguini. Oh, frick. My bad. I'm getting all the names mixed up because, like, I know when it comes to Linguini here, like, I know, like, Renata and I guess his name is actually Alfredo. Like, I know they're all supposed to be, like, like noodles or pasta or whatever. I thought Linguini was the first name of, uh, this Alfredo here. I kind of forgot, like, I guess, yeah, his name is Alfredo. Okay. I think it's starting to make more sense now, and like why he said Linguini sisters, because I thought his first name was Linguini. Okay, because yeah, that's what they pretty much always say in the film, Linguini and not Alfredo.
Linguini. This is inconsistent with Emma, whose last name is presumably Jean after marrying Gary. If the postcard of Emma Jean was sent to Carl and Ellie prior to her remarriage, then her maiden name could be Jean, and Jerry's last name Linguini, finally, once and for all solving where Renata got her surname from. Renata is not commonly a French name.
You're not sure if I
but
got
it
that?
is
I'll
quite
look back at it later.
European, so where on earth did the Red Girls grow up? And thus, we move on to locations. The Tri-County area currently contains the Davis branch, San Francisco contains the Anderson branch,
Hmm.
Carl lives in his hijacked Zeppelin, what's left of the Gusteau branch is in France, and the Shermans are spread from Australia to, yes, California, just like the
Jeez.
Davises and Andersons.
All
Emma
over
and
the place,
Jerry are
man.
wishing you were here, meaning they're vacationing,
And my
presumably, but
jeans
this
are
is all
all
during the
over the
years
place.
2000 to 2015. Their movements are dynamic as ever. Initially, though, these four core people likely all originated from the central US. Carl and Ellie stayed, while Emma eventually spread her wings and sought out Gary. Carl's kids grew up in the Midwest-ish, and for reasons likely pertaining to Andy's father, Jennifer moved to California. Jillian and her family stayed in the Midwest, but eventually, yes, also ended up in California, San Francisco. Emma and Jerry seemed to be quite widespread indeed. Their two daughters were probably born in America, but clearly they all just travel lots. Adventure is out there, apparently, and Emma Jean seems to agree with the Fredricksons' sentiments, constantly wishing her extended family were there with her on her trips with Gary Linguini. Renata travels all over the map and lands herself in France for a time, while the other one lands herself in Australia and weds herself to a famous family in many sectors. So yes, the locations now too are sensible. Finally, we
Okay.
have to involve the biggest blockade, timing.
Timing.
Oh dear, do I
I feel
need
like the only one I've seen of him, or that I can remember on the top of my head, was Finding Nemo. Probably because, it was like the last thing I saw with the whole like calendar thing.
to overlay all of my timelines, or should I just start fresh? So the top tier here is the early silent generation. Gary Linguini, Emma Jean, Elizabeth and Carl Fredrickson, amongst others of less linkable importance, like the
Okay,
Sherman
him a timeline
Doctors,
like,
Mabel Goose
I guess when they're born. The Silent Gen. Can I hear that again? Hold on. What?
Fredrickson among silent generation. Gary Linguini, Emma Jean, Elizabeth and Carl Fredrickson, amongst others of less linkable importance, like the Sherman Doctors, Mabel Gusteau, etc. The
Okay, I'm not sure what he means by silent generation. I'm guessing those are like the farthest back, like I guess the farthest of the ancestors. Let me go all the way to the beginning.
or should I just start fresh? So the top tier here is the early silent generation. Gary Linguini, Emma Jean, Elizabeth and Carl Fredrickson,
Okay,
amongst
like the
others of
earliest
less
one, yeah.
linkable importance, like the Sherman Doctors, Mabel Gusteau, etc. The baby boomers and Gen X pretty much encapsulate the parents of this
Okay,
family
I'm seeing
tree.
it now.
The Shermans and
I'm seeing it
Gusteaus are
now.
on the earlier side, while the Davises and Andersons are on the latter half, like the Red Twins. I mean, Emma could always be really old, but it's most likely that she had Carl's kids first. The kids, on the other hand, are all millennials and Gen Z. Linguini is quite on the old side, though. So we've done it. We've finally done it. We've solved all of the logical blockades and evened this out to actually make sense. All but one massive problem. We can't get
And
into
what
the
is that?
further proof until we fix the glaring error. That is, Riley having modern technology, because if Finding Nemo takes place in 1995 to
Oh, that is right.
2003 like I've theorized, and teenage Riley is seen in Finding Dory, then how on earth can Riley have such advanced computer technology and her dad have a modern cell phone? The picture of elder Ellie can be seen in Riley's house as she's a toddler, meaning the years still match, so what we need to do is compare the years they all take place and the kids' ages, specific specs.
Okay, this is where the
A
timeline's gonna
sample
go.
from each branch. Andy was born in 1987, Riley was born in 2003, Darla was born in 1995, Linguini was born around 1980-ish. We see
Jeez,
Riley in the
really
Marine
old.
Life Institute during Finding Dory, which takes place in 2004.
Dang, dude, can you imagine? 1980 for Alfredo. What is that now? So 1990, 2000, 2010, 2020. He's 45 right now. He will be 45 today
Riley in the Marine Life Institute
in
during Finding Dory,
2025.
which takes place in 2004. Riley is not 1 year old, so clearly she wasn't born in 2003. This is not a me inconsistency, this is a Pixar inconsistency. You know, unless this world just has technology moving faster than your average world. I mean, just look at BNL, the technologically advanced supercorporation of AI.
Oh yeah,
Pixar's
there we go.
back
That's the other company I was thinking about earlier. Because yeah, like I said, I think I've seen Dinoco in other like films. I forgot where. Was it like a gas station in like Toy Story or something? I remember seeing like Dynaco. It could be B&L. It could be that. Maybe I'm just like mixing up the two companies. But I think B&L and Dynaco, I think I've seen like their names every now and then. I think that one company as well that I think that's trying to like renovate Carl's house, right? I think they represent the two people that went to his house. I think it was B&L. Could be.
Themselves into a corner with this one, but explained it via advancing technology and left no real date in the movie. Basically, these all take place in the 2000s, a time when laptops that look like this were still commonplace. It's more of a time range, but B&L and laptop designs are consistent. The other three films are consistent as well, such as how Jill reads about Colette in a magazine after she and Linguini open their new restaurant. But if that's the case, then Ratatouille has to take place in the earlier 2000s as well. But beyond
Man.
that, now minor point of intrigue, things are sensible. But any additional patterns? Proof? Well, let's look at the wedding first. Come to think of it, I don't think Gary would have been here even as a young man, but Emma just has so many options. She has red hair, but it could have been slightly darkened like Ellie's, or, you know what? As uncanny and flabbergasting as it is, the only real person who fits Emma Jean's description by personality, by genetics, perfect to a T, is Ellie. The eye color, the hair color, especially as it darkens, and only the children of this tree
I
have
kind of
light
forgot
colored
what
hair.
Ellie
The age
looks like when she was
similarities.
young.
There are many candidates at the wedding, but
Well, now
Ellie, of all
I just saw
people,
it again.
is
Like
the
I just
one I'd
remembered.
accuse of looking and acting the most similar to our tentative description of Emma Jean, which means, oh no, Carl? Carl?
What?
You know, I've always found
I
it
need to
strange.
hear that
People
again.
really
Okay, so I rewatched this part like a couple of times, but I'm not sure what point he's making. Where I assume he's trying to say that Emma Jean, like during that whole wedding scene, was not with Jerry. I'm guessing with Carl. Let's continue.
Carl? Carl knew Emma through Ellie. Why? Could they be related? Could they be sisters? The maiden name of Elizabeth has henceforth been unknown, but Jean
Okay.
could work. Oh my.
I remember he was talking about like Ellie and Emma Jean being sisters, like as a potential theory. I guess he's going with that.
Let's observe the wedding again. I'm fairly certain we see Ellie's parents in the front row of her wedding, but Carl's side is a bit different. I'm not so sure his mother is alive at the time of his marriage, but few perfectly fit for Emma. Ellie's family, though, the genetics would be on point. It would make sense. Emma's not some random mystery matriarch, but a sisterly divorcee. Her marriage to Carl was quite young, like age 18 or 19 based on the timeline, and they had Jen and Jill quite young, which would explain why they simply weren't ready to take all of it on. They raised them alongside two other adults by splitting up and remarrying to old flames. When Carl is actually ready, he remarries at 25 and they try for kids in their early 30s or so. Emma, on the other hand, hops right into having Renata and, I guess we can call the other woman, Missy, short for Mrs. Sherman. So Jen and Jill are born in the 50s, and given Andy's graduation, Toy Story 3 does not take place in 2010 during its release, but rather like 2003 to 2005. Shocker, that's also when Finding Nemo takes place, which means Toy Story 3, Finding Dory, and Inside Out all take place within a time bracket that does not coincide with their release date. Pixar seems to ignore technological years in the case of Inside Out and Toy Story, only further supporting a technically superior universe due to B&L. Wow. Renata and Missy were born in the late 50s or early 60s, and Renata had Linguini rather early too,
Yeah, I mean,
mistakenly.
I've been so quiet, man.
At
I'm
this
really trying my
wedding,
best
could the
to
four
put this
girls
all together
be
in my
seen?
mind.
Yes, Jill and Jen Fredrickson could easily be anywhere in this crowd. God knows there are plenty of kids that fit their genetic description perfectionistically. But it would seem as though we're still not done. What on earth is it with Pixar and making me do multi-video theories? Why is there so much? These are not the kinds of questions any normal
I mean,
person
I'm sure
would...
that. I mean, yeah, for me, like, I'm not sure if they meant for it to be like this, like to be all connected. You know, it is just pretty much us as like people on the outside of Pixar, just trying our best to connect things together. Like, I'm sure they have thought about putting like connections and stuff. But yeah, it's just for us to like just like speculate and figure out while they leave like clues behind.
attempt to solve, nor are they even remotely easy. I am the god of navigating around plot holes. Holy cow, this is ludicrous. So in part 1, we recapped and established everything I've done before proposing the evidence and ideas required to theorize. In part 2, we've theorized. We've solved everything like crazy. But aside from the very clean tree, the timeline is disorganized, and there are 3 final questions. What better reason could Andy have kept this letter? What is Jerry's link to
Yeah.
being a toy cleaner and his step-grandson having the Woody doll? And finally, what happens next? Where are they now? Who's dead? What does this timeline look like? Please do stay tuned. I've never gone so five-prongedly deep before. Click the subscribe button below, like, and comment your theories.
All right.
It will motivate me to finish this faster. There's just so much. And
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to the whole, like,
short time span, but in
part
one
where I was
week,
silent,
I will be
I
finishing
probably need to
everything
rewatch that
once
again.
and for all, the final Emma-Jean universe theory. Because
There's like a lot of like
no
going back
no
and
other
forth.
Pixar film belongs here in this universe. Then we can finally move on to the other universes in Pixar. To finally, once and for all, answer the true question to the most believable solution
True
to an
question.
interfilm connection: a multiverse theory. A multi-timeline true Pixar theory designed to interlock with any possible
Oh,
future
boy.
Pixar films seamlessly, logically optimal, and incredibly difficult. Click the bell if you want to be notified of when we finally wrap up this, like, 12 theory-long escapade, because until next week, I'm the Theorizer.
Okay. So yeah, definitely a very complicated theory. As you saw me try my best to really like put an image into it in my mind. I feel like when it comes to the whole family timeline thing, I feel like that's the one that I don't know why, I guess gets me really uh you know confused about, and probably need to do like a couple of rewatches. I feel like I never really experienced this when it comes to like watching some other theories. Like when I was watching, I guess the first one I watched on this channel was like Alex Bale, and then you guys recommended me to watching the Theorizers SpongeBob theories, and I feel like I had like no trouble understanding like the theories themselves. But yeah, this one I guess when it comes to the family timeline thing, yeah, there's like a lot to like just um think about and go back and forth. A lot of like genetics talk. But yeah, probably did not get like all of it. I would definitely rewatch that one part where I was like just really silent on, because yeah, there was a lot of things being said there, a lot to take in. But yeah, that was that every Pixar character a family tree. Next time, I think this is it over here. We'll watch the oh yeah, coming up here very soon after this cut, the 5-dimensional Pixar timeline. All right, I rewatched it, and yeah, pretty much the whole part. At least from like the main thing that I learned was that he was trying to just fix up the, I guess, the new timeline, because some things just weren't adding up, and yeah, pretty much everything was lining up with his new timeline. In even though it was like a bit inconsistent, like the release date doesn't match like the film being taken place at with the time, and also with the whole technology thing too, where like in this world, I guess they're more advanced just because of BNL, which is an interesting thing to think about too. So yeah, here we go. The next one here, the 5-dimensional Pixar timeline. More timelines, man. Oh my gosh, can my brain handle it? My brain feels like an actual linguine, man. Feels like spaghetti. But here we go.
So here we are, the final theory tying together Up, Inside Out, Finding Nemo, Toy
There is one
Story,
more video after
and
this though
Ratatouille.
that I want to
This
watch.
has been a long time coming, but I'm assuming you've seen the last couple videos. If not,
Yeah.
I'll link the first and second thirds of this 3-part mega theory for you to see now.
They really
by
right.
simply
My
clicking on
my
the
brain
white
right now is in
rectangles
Alfredo,
in the
man.
top right corner. This was supposed to be one big, like, 50-minute theory, but I had to split it up into 3 videos across a couple weeks. They're not long, but it's taken so long to figure this out, and this is the end of it all. Wrapping it all up by answering 3 final questions and posing a timeline with accurate dates based off of this family tree.
Right, here we go, man. Yeah, the 3 questions he posed at the end of the previous video. Alright, let's see how this whole thing wraps up, and then also for the next video too with what seems to be Emma Jean. Wait, let's hear it, man. Theorizer. I like this intro. It's different. It really does feel like a grand finale.
Hello, I've done it. Oh, have I ever done it? Easy? No, not by a long shot. Fun? Sure. Logical analysis and theoretical deduction is like the icing on the cake that is my channel. It's a 5-dimensional timeline, a pentagonal star of connections, each franchise connecting to the other with little timelines and interlocking data points. This video must be well organized. So
is
first,
that it?
here are 2 brief main questions that I think I can discuss possible answers to. Is there a significance in Grandpa Jerry being the toy cleaner who fixed up Woody? And why does Andy have his grandmother's postcard on his wall?
Okay,
Well,
some
I
Toy
think
Story
Jerry
stuff
being
first.
a toy cleaner is no mistake, especially since he was brought in specifically to clean the very rare Woody doll. Perhaps the Woody doll means so much to Andy because Gary was the one in the toy business and already did have prior connections to this very specific doll, perhaps helping with the TV show. He knew just
You probably didn't know what happened to it since.
how to clean it, and he's a very professional, very genetically specific character. I do think this is a reference and a tie to the notion that the grandparental remarriages resulted in Andy getting the doll as a gift of some sort. As for the secondary question, I tried answering it back in my very first theory on Emma, in which I deduced that Andy, having the postcard, represented how he loves all of his grandparents.
Okay. By the way, the postcard is only in the trailer, suspiciously removed from the movie in a deleted scene. Oh, that's curious. So with this whole thing, this postcard this whole time was only in the trailer and not in the movie. Oh yeah, I guess yeah, in a deleted scene.
Emma, Carl, and the steps, Ellie and Derry. He loves how they all interconnect and love one another, how it could show a positive future for his allegedly divorced parents. Yes, divorced, because in
What?
2018 I made a video where I solved his dad deeper. If you remember,
yeah.
YouTubers the Super Carlin brothers interviewed a friend of one of Toy Story's creators who passed away, and the friend claimed that the creator had implemented a whole story about Andy's dad being in framed photos and dying and all this stuff, which Andrew Stanton, another creator, then sarcastically debunked
Yeah, I
on
remember
Twitter.
this.
I spent over
At first when he said that, like um about the divorce thing, I thought he meant about like Andy's future of him getting divorced. No, he's talking about his dad.
10 minutes analyzing his single tweet and came to the insane conclusion that this entire story was simply a headcanon of the deceased writer, and thus its canonicity was too fickle to theorize on, effectively nullifying it from future theories. With all this in mind, the postcard, which is seen in some bonus content, I'm not even sure it's in Toy Story 3, is probably something personal to Andy, something in the vein of how his entire life is based around toys from one grandparent, exploration from another, love from yet another, and the massive interconnections sewn throughout. So Andy's intrigued by the theories too, might as well finally do this timeline. But I warn you, the complexity is striking. It's horrific. I am
The
literally
complexity, that's
merging
a
my
word
Finding
that-
Nemo timeline with my Ratatouille timeline.
That's probably gonna get me
and
all
trying
scrambled.
to deposit integral events in there to prove everything in the most official way possible, alongside all of the other 3 timelines I tried to make with Up, Inside Out, and Toy Story. So here it is.
Oh,
Graduation
that's an
was
ad, not
so
a
exciting.
timeline. Okay, so I assume coming up here, he's about to present like the one linear single timeline of all the events of all these characters here that he's mentioned so far. And yeah, for me, when it comes to theory videos, I'm usually like just wanting to learn like the best out of the evidence. But like, I feel like at this point, I'm always getting kind of like confused and scrambled up. So I'll just take it at face value when it comes to like how he presents things with this timeline here. Yeah, let's go here. Like his proposed timeline for this for all these movies here.
I have all of the gaps between events right here from part 2, and I know very well how long each gap is. They are consistent, it's the dates that squirm. In part 2, I just threw up random numbers and reveals, but now I've had the time to connect more perfectly. Previously, I've just given year ranges, but in the name of specificity, I'm trying harder here. The most painstakingly accurate date you'll remember is Finding Nemo's 2003 time period. To connect these 3 timelines, we need to know how this fits in with the rest. Up and Inside Out's years are presumed unavailable unless they're super hidden or from an external source. Toy Story's years are irrelevant here, and Finding Nemo is our base, so I figured out the damn thing. You see, Inside Out shifts across this timeline and sort of drags Ratatouille and Finding Nemo with it wherever it goes, because the technology of BNL makes its dates extremely fickle. Based on the Aquascum 2003 Finding Nemo date, Finding Dory then is 2004, meaning Riley, who's about 1 year older here in Morro Bay, proves that Inside Out takes place in 2003 as well. In Riley's toddler flashback, the magazine with Colette is seen. This flashback is calculated then to take place in 1994, meaning Riley was born in 1991. If this magazine is 1 year after Linguini and Colette established their new restaurant, then it would mean Ratatouille is set in the early 90s. So I worked with this, and again, the technology is too fickle to use as evidence. Cell phones and computers are advanced in the Pixar multiverse due to the company known as BNL, such as how films like The Incredibles, which takes place in like the 50s or 60s, have insanely advanced tech too. Pixar backed themselves into a pit of plot holes and created an AI.
I guess that does make sense when it comes to BNL. Like they can probably just, they're pretty much the reason why why we have these advanced technologies. I didn't even know, like, you said The Incredibles were taking place in the 1950s. Is that true? I never realized that if that was the case.
AI company to answer the futurism. But before I do one final summary of the enormous timeline, there is one irrefutable problem. I had just used Finding Nemo's date to prove all of the movie's years. I flew with the assumption that Jen and Jill both had their kids around the same time, and ergo
freaking love Alfredo.
Inside Out and Toy Story's years, all good. I spent hours on it, but then clarified on Twitter with fans, asking for them to debunk this idea of a 1994 Ratatouille setting. Adara the Shallot told me to check for dates, Seamus Gorman mentioned the technology thing, and many others told me to scan the film in general. I had planned to observe Renata's letter to Skinner more closely, and finally did it much to my regret, because next to the letter, in Gusteau's will, it confirmed my greatest
Does that say 2004?
fear. I think the will says it was written in 2001. So, but it doesn't just confirm everything. All it means is that Colette being on this magazine is not due to her and Linguini setting up shop. It's probably something else, for being a famous female chef or a competition one or
that could be it.
Stuff, but it is.
I guess it doesn't have to be like Colette working at that new restaurant. It could just be still at Gusteau, maybe.
Something. It just happened when she was much younger, prior to the film's occurrence date of the mid-2000s. But then, while writing this, I had an ultimatum aha moment like Remy from the film. I was watching Remy read the letters, and I saw that Gusteau's will offers up his restaurant to any living relative within 2 years of his death. Meaning if this does say 2001, then Ratatouille as well.
Let me say that again.
Death. Meaning if this
nobody knew of Vigo, and he refused anyways.
Does say 2001, then Ratatouille as well takes place in 2003? What the hell? This is getting horrifyingly weird. Pixar now has 3 films that are set in 2003. What kind of mystery have I stumbled upon? What are they doing? Willingly pointing to 2003 in no convoluted way? I'm not sure, but this long video needs to be compressed, so reshifting the timeline, we're back in business, baby. Here we go. A final run through 5 films, 3 timelines intersecting, color-coded for my video series. Most logical, definitely explainable in every direction. Debunk it, I'll just make a bonus video circumnavigating the debunction. Let's go.
Oh, after this ad. Alright, let's see it, man.
So it starts in the year 1895 with the establishment of a dentist's office in Sydney, Australia. A man named Mr. Sherman runs it and eventually passes it down to his son, Sherman Jr. In the years that follow, Sherman Jr. passes the business down to his son, Sherman III. Meanwhile, in America, 4 children are born, all within the central U.S. We have the
Okay.
adventurous quartet of Carl Fredricksen, Emma Jean, Elizabeth Jean, and Jerry Linguini. This is assuming the likelihood that Ellie and Emma could be sisters, what with the similar everything, including names. Imagine if Carl and Jerry are brothers too, but, no. All born around 1930, they grow up seeking adventure and meet each other throughout the years, while Carl and Ellie bond significantly as best friends. As all of this goes on, 1943 rolls around, and over in France, we have a large, jolly man known as Mr. Gusteau, who marries a woman named Mabel. They have 2 boys together, known as Anton Gusteau and Augusta Gusteau. Mabel loves cooking, and her husband loves eating. Back in Australia, it's now 1947, and Sherman III's son is getting ready to accept the business as his own. He and his wife now have 2 boys,
Okay.
Philip and an unnamed man who has an interest in music.
I like this
As
layout.
they age in Australia and the Gusteau
I think this is
boys
definitely
age
easy
in
for me to
France,
understand.
both sets
This
of
one
children
singular
are raised
timeline.
in extremely cultured homes, with the French studying the arts of criticism and culinary skill, and the Australians reveling in nature and marine life, as well as music and their inheritance of dentistry. The cultured brothers across the world age, while Carl Fredricksen starts to get a crush on one of his pals, but not his best friend, rather her sister. They end up getting married at a very young age, at age 20 or younger. They have 2 daughters, Jillian and Jennifer. The year is 1950, and these young parents aren't ready. They need instant assistance with these children. They don't get so much as 5 years in as quality parents before they need to fix this system, so they consult Elizabeth Fredricksen and Jerry Linguini. Who better to raise these children than Carl's best friend and Emma's? So this group of friends devises a plan where Carl and Emma divorce, but they remarry to tie the whole group together legally, so these adventurous parents can sustain such a life. Emma and Jerry get remarried promptly, and perhaps on their honeymoon or some other trip immediately surrounding the wedding. Emma, still a Jean, sends them a postcard wishing Carl and Ellie could come, but they cannot. They have a wedding to prepare for. Very unprepared people here. Carl's side of the wedding is quiet and depressed, hints that his mother may have recently passed away, while Ellie's side is cheering and screaming with the possibility of Emma and Jerry being there if not vacationing still. I've
never seen like the other side.
The couple instantly decides
never realized
to have
that.
kids, and they end up giving birth to 2
Or at
more
least I don't
daughters
remember
around
seeing that.
1955 when all this goes down. Both are born with Ellie and Emma's signature red hair and green eyes. They name one Renata Linguini, and the other, well, we don't know. Unnamed Linguini. This is the single most mysterious and detached part of the whole tree. I nicknamed her Missy, short for, well, the fact that we know she's a future Mrs., and it makes more sense than to call her by another name she won't have until the confusing adulthood, so it's still 1955, but Carl and Ellie cannot conceive kids, so they continue to raise the 4 daughters they now have with their 2 best friends, while Emma and Jerry travel and explore to their heart's content. Back in France, the 2 chef boys have grown up in an extremely culinary environment, and Augusta shows brilliant signs of becoming one of the best cooks in France. Anton loves food like his fat father, but if he doesn't like it, he will not swallow it. This
the father
is
fat,
most
too?
likely because he grows traumatized after his obese father dies suddenly around 1963, leaving the family instantly fractured and estranged. Anton completely delves into culinary criticism, which he is
Wow.
ruthlessly
Is this a real, like, concept
excellent
art?
at, and Augusta passionately takes over France's restaurant division like his mom had always wanted. This leaves Anton jealous from his lack of cooking ability, and he adopts the stage name Anton Ego to represent the way he sees everyone he once loved. He travels to England for his work and leaves behind the world he now despises so much, which breaks his mother's heart, sending Mabel into a spiraling madness that only grows in the years that follow. As this all happens,
definitely making
the
like all
Australian
this
brothers are having a much better time
Ratatouille
with their
family
arts.
tree, like all
Let's
dark
call
and depressing.
the unnamed brother Mitty, as we know he's a mister, and it'll fit with his spouse in the end, we'll see. So Mitty has a hobby for music and pianism, while the older brother, Philip, is granted a job he willingly loves, the family's old dentistry business. He goes to school to become a dentist, loves it, but still wishes for a life of marine biology and naturalism, which Mitty has found a job in. In fact, in 1972, he travels to California's Marine Life Institute to study the growing trend of fish intelligence. Now it's time for the most ambitious crossover in shitstory.
Okay.
Things are getting good. It's 1978, and Renata travels to France with her parents, where she immediately falls for the up-and-comer Auguste Gusteau. He now has a small team in a restaurant he's opening, and Renata stays with him while Emma and Jerry travel back home to America. Anton Ego has become a prominent food critic in England, and Renata likely despises him for his actions toward the family she is now integrated with. The reason Missy wasn't here on this vacation is because she stayed back at the Linguini's new home in California, where she met the new Australian guy, Mitty. They fall in love in quite the same way Renata and Gusteau do. These lustful redheads have the passion of their parents, and they dive headfirst into relationships with the worldly brothers. In 1983, Renata has a French son,
there we
Alfredo
go.
Linguini, but refuses to reveal that Gusteau is his father. She doesn't tell anyone. She doesn't even tell Gusteau himself. She refuses to disrupt his very important culinary work or introduce Linguini into that lifestyle at this time. Gusteau's very stressed, you see. Linguini has Gary's nose and all of Emma Jean's genes, so it's not a stretch to say he isn't Gusteau's, and she returns to America, granting him with his American accent. He is raised by the family of adventure, which Carl and Ellie are more than happy to aid with, as their frequent accidents prevent them from vacationing, so there's not much fun to have anywhere else. Oh boy, we're done the first half of the timeline, now let's get into
my
stuff.
bad. I got distracted by the music, because I do recognize it. I think it's Requiem for a Dream.
Actually seen in the movies, as all of this has been going down throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Sounds like it.
The original two daughters of Emma and Carl have grown into women who are quite independent from the rest of their family for the most part. Gillian Fredrickson stays in the central US, but Jennifer finds a man in California and moves there to birth Andy Davis in 1987.
It is Requiem for a Dream. Oh my gosh. I just heard that part of the music right now. Okay, that's cool. I was being distracted by the music. I do need to go back a bit. It's just I recognize that because I do listen to that a lot sometimes. Like, I guess other versions of it.
So there's not much fun to have anywhere else. Oh boy, we're done the first half of the timeline, now let's get into the stuff actually seen in the movies.
Okay.
As all of this has been going down throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the original two daughters of Emma and Carl have grown into women who are quite independent from the rest of their family for the most part. Gillian Fredrickson stays in the central US, but Jennifer finds a man in California and moves there to birth Andy Davis in 1987. A boy as wondrous and creative as his many, many grandparents, one of which gives Andy a doll from his World Toys. Gillian meets a man named William Anderson, and they have a daughter named Riley in 1991. Bill over here
I'm still getting distracted by the music, but I am listening though.
A futuristic conglomeration of sub-companies that has been accelerating the world's technology for years now. The family sends out recurrent photographs to all members, such as Ellie's now elder appearance being in young Riley's home. By the time 1995 rolls around, Andy has his birthday, and we finally see a film happen, that film being Toy Story 1. Missy and Mitty move back to Australia, and the problem child Darla Sherman is born, amplified by the near instant divorce those two go through for reasons pertaining to general nastiness. Mitty moves back to California, but Philip keeps an eye on Darla for his brother, who meets with her once a year because Missy stays in Australia with Darla, essentially swapping life locations with her husband. Things are looking up, but then 2001 rolls around and hits the fan when Renata gets sick. She returns to France with a now adult Alfredo Linguini and devises a plan to give her son a future. You see, Anton Ego has returned from England and has been successfully slamming dish after dish and book after book, all created by the brother he despises, which has ultimately subtracted one of Gusteau's
definitely so far the
stars. Gusteau slips into a depression.
The Ratatouille family side of things is the darkest one.
Should something go wrong.
Of all the families,
something
I know there's like Darla.
Does go wrong, and she dies.
But man, like it's more descriptive with Gusteau's side of things.
Returns to Gusteau's restaurant to ruin his brother's career once and for all. Gusteau is crushed by his brother, and then the news of Renata hits him like a freight train, and presumably like his obese father, Gusteau dies of hyper-stress induced by heartbreak from the two people he loved most in the world. Mabel Gusteau immediately loses it and descends into madness as she watches reruns upon reruns of her son, buying all of his books, trying desperately to retain the memory of him. Anton Ego has descended even deeper into his tragedy, now seemingly irreparably damaged from the depression he caused. Damn, that sucks. Motherly estrangement is seen as the movie Ratatouille begins. In the year 2003, 3 movies occur simultaneously.
Yeah, that's
Finding
crazy.
Nemo, Inside Out, and Ratatouille. The accumulations of these massive problems explode, but Linguini learns of Gusteau and saves his uncle Ego from the void of depression, while Riley and her parents move to California for Bill's job. There, Jennifer has probably divorced her husband, but she has a new baby with similar genetics to Riley named Molly. The Sherman family's accumulation hits its peak in 2003. This is when Darla is completely traumatized on her 8th birthday when her uncle's fish launch an attack on her. Philip, now completely convinced of this rise in marine intelligence, moves his practice to California to be with his brother, where he shears sheep and owns animal life, as seen by his arm in the short film Bounden. Missy and Darla are left in Australia, but with nothing left for them there, they likely moved back to America, returning to Emma and Jerry. Toy Story 3 then occurs alongside Finding Dory in the year 2004, but during the next 5 years,
Now there's like
Fredrickson gets quite
multiple
ill and
movies happening at
passes
the same time here. I feel like that's when I'm starting to get all jumble with the events happening.
away, leaving Carl completely dead inside. Andy frames his grandma in memories on his wall with things like postcards and the joys of his wonderfully complex family.
Yeah, I felt like I was like, I felt like I was getting,
Carl has a
I was
nice
understanding
new
it at
son
first,
figure
but now
at the
there's like
end
a lot
it,
of things
having
happening at the
gone
same
on more
time.
adventures than Emma ever could have in a lifetime. But finally, the question becomes, what happens next? Well, it's
Okay.
implied that Emma too has now died, leaving Gary as a denying old man desperate for love, playing chess with a snarky Jean girl no longer around.
No
a tragedy
way.
of a short film, a truly desperate depression.
This is all new information, right? I kind of liked it too, like what he said about like a twin brother. I think this is all like new information now that he's presenting. Emma possibly dies, and Jerry is left a lonely old man like Carl in the future. Ooh. Oh yeah, Jerry's I can never look at Jerry's game the same ever again now. I thought it's just, a jolly old man that just wants to play chess, but he's got like no one else to play it with, so he just plays with himself. But yeah.
This takes a toll on Carl too, but he's lived his life and is ready to move on anyways, so he lives what's left with his new blimp and his amazing adventures. The other films have a somewhat happy ending too, and me, well, I move on too. To the next universe. We've solved the
The
majority
next
of
universe.
this one. Let's now move through the multiverse interchange known as Monsters Inc. and find a new universe to dive into.
Right, he did mention that.
Perhaps one where AI has dominated like Wall-E or Cars, or maybe wherever
Where I
the
guess Monsters
Incredibles
Inc. is
I
like the
don't know.
portal to like the
But this is
multiverse.
far, far from over because Pixar is constantly updating their canon. I'll make a playlist filled with every single part of this massive 3-year Pixar
Oh, is he about to go that in the
connection theory. If you wanna
next,
see it
like,
again,
video, the
I'll
whole,
link
like,
it above now. Stay the
multiverse
hell
stuff?
tuned. Subscribe for sure. And
Is that-
next,
you think
I
that's
might
gonna be,
look
like,
at
what
more
the-
details in
I'm
those
sure you
same
guys already
films.
know.
We've finished off the human connections of
I
this
assume that
universe, but
the second part of the
animals.
whole Pixar
Remy,
mega theory will be
remember,
about the
I'm not
multiverse
done
stuff.
with him and
That'll be
Gusteau's
kind of
ghost.
crazy.
There is more. Monsters Inc. is a future timeline convergence that can hit back into the past like a multiversal interchange, and I will utilize this. Ring the bell, take my notifications. Until next time, which will be very, very soon. I'm most definitely the Theorizer.
Yeah, you are the Theorizer. But yeah, we got one more video to watch. But once again, I definitely most likely am kind of like lost in a lot of the stuff. I think the timeline though was presented pretty well. Like near the end though, I did feel like I did get kind of lost. But I feel like for the most part, I understood it. Because I assume that maybe it's just a lot to take in. Maybe that's what I'm just feeling right now. Because yeah, sometimes when I rewatch those videos, like, okay, I kind of like already understood that. I guess it's just a lot to take in, that feeling. All right, so yeah, let's go watch one more video where I guess it would reveal Emma Jean. Alright, here we are at the final video for the first Pixar Mega Theory playlist, and that is Toy Story 4 confirm all of his theories. So yeah, let's see how it does that.
Hello, I am the Theorizer. I spent
Hello,
three and a
Theorizer.
half solid years making videos on something very complicated. A while ago, lots of people were discussing this cool idea that all of Pixar's movies are connected into one world along a gigantic timeline. It's very epic, but I chose to do something based purely off of minor details we see in the films, and I got a more multiversal answer. As I always do, I decided to fix all of Pixar's plot
Yeah,
holes
I
by
assume
filling in the
that will
gaps
be.
with information found in
You
their
think it'll
other
be in this
films.
video? I
They've
thought it might be like its own
confirmed that they don't
playlist
actually
because it
put
sounds pretty
this
big
much
already.
thought into their character backstory, so I've spent 3 years proving with a high degree of logical probability the perfectly filled backstories using exclusively other information they have revealed. It was perfect because it was essentially a fan fiction theory that was entirely true because I simply filled holes with their own data. Now, this only applies to Toy Story, Inside Out, Finding Nemo, Ratatouille, and Up. I have a 12-part video series, all a part of one cohesive playlist, which I will link above.
Yep,
in
I
the
have
card
watched all of
now.
it.
This is the final video. I promised
There
I'd
we
make
go.
a short epilogue if more evidence arose in Toy Story 4, or if people commented something of importance. Any more logical inconsistencies that need filling will be filled. I'm making this last video, and then I'll make one enormous 2-hour-long compilation video later this year for easier viewing. A feature-length film
2-hour.
playing all of the theories back to back.
Well, I guess that's a
So let's
compilation,
end
right?
this. This is the final video I will ever make regarding this 5-film connection. This
I thought he said
pentagonal
like a new
universe,
video, but it's a
before
compilation.
I likely move on to
So
their
I don't
other
need to watch
films.
that.
The main reason I'm making this epilogue, because to my utter shock, Toy Story 4 revealed to us Emma Jean herself in the flesh as a guest star. No joke.
A guest star. Yeah, for me, I feel like out of all the Toy Story movies, the fourth one is the one that I feel like I don't remember the most. I feel like the first three I can remember a lot about, or maybe just the most compared to like the fourth
Emma
movie.
Jean. I solved her life story.
But yeah, I
Everything
don't
there is
remember
to
like
know about her
seeing,
solved.
I guess,
But
that
we never
character.
figured out what she
If
looked
that's
like
that's the one that
until
he
I saw
showed,
Pixar's latest
that one old
addition
lady.
to the Californian quintet, Toy Story 4. In this one, we finally see Emma Jean. Quickly,
Yeah, I just know
recap-
like the story in this game, not this game. I say game because I play a lot of games on this channel, but yeah, in this movie, it's mainly about like her and like what she's been up to, and then going on an adventure with her. You know what's funny? Just really quick, off topic, but well, somewhat off topic, but we got Toy Story 5, and like I guess since we're going through the whole story of like all these movies here, I guess spoilers would be fine. But at the end of Toy Story 4, Woody stayed with her name was Bo, right? But yeah, like Woody stayed with her, and then we got like a teaser for Toy Story 5 where Woody was back with the crew. I mean, he could just be like visiting, but yeah, I'm guessing they'll explain all that in the fifth movie. But you know what? Just one more thing I am looking forward to, because it seems like the theme of that movie is pretty much toys versus technology. And like I feel like that's in a way gonna hit me because, growing up, like when I was a kid, I began at least I assume I began with toys. I remember like just playing with so much toys, I would make like a big mess of it. And of course, like I would like go back and forth between like playing with toys and playing video games. But nowadays, like I'm just playing video games, man. I don't play with toys anymore. I do have a Lightning McQueen toy that I was given just for fun because I like Lightning McQueen, but I don't even like play with it. It's just like a decoration there on my desk. Um, oh yeah, I feel like the fifth movie is gonna probably hit me in a way, potentially. But yeah, let's continue now with the theory.
Emma
Yeah, sorry
Jean
for
is a
going off
mystery
topic. Just
woman
want
who
to,
sent a
say that
postcard. A postcard
while
which
it's
is
in my
seen
mind.
on Andy Davis's wall in deleted Toy Story 3 footage. The postcard
Wow,
was
this is
sent
really clear.
through Carl and Ellie Fredrickson from Up.
It's not like buried
I deduced
behind
in
like the
2016
other
with
stuff.
loads of internal evidence and the director's own spontaneous statements that Emma Jean is Carl's ex-wife, with whom in that short period of time they birthed Andy's mom from Toy Story and Riley's mom from Inside Out. Emma moved on and married Gary from the short film Jerry's Game, whatever, and had Renata Linguini and Mrs. Sherman. Renata is, of course, Linguini's deceased mother from Ratatouille, and Mrs. Sherman is the mother of Darla from Finding Nemo. Hours of evidence, once again, you can watch the videos. Genetics, locations, timing, all consistent. A massive family tree timeline conspiracy. All to prove that Emma Jean is the matriarch of Pixar, the center of the tree. Last I
Pretty much the
theorized,
center.
I claimed she's likely a redhead, green-eyed traveler, a weathered old woman with lots of worldly experience, who hangs most likely around California with her husband Gary, unless she's dead, which would explain Gary's apparent loneliness in the short film. Well, I'm here to say, she's
Yeah, you know when I saw that when he said about the Jerry's film, I thought that was more like that happened in the past, but I guess that happened in the future.
not dead, at least not in this time, because Emma Jean is the antique shop owner from Toy Story 4. I thought it the second I saw her, and I'm sure lots
I think
of
I do
you did
remember
too,
like the
after
antique
watching
shop
my
at
video
least.
on her genetics, and then seeing her orange-haired granddaughter, because this woman is the only unexplored old woman of any significance in the entirety of these Pixar films. So yes, this woman is from California, one of our established key locations. That fits the bill. Her age is roughly around the age of which I claimed Andy's grandmother is supposed to be. Check. Her granddaughter's unique genetics match up perfectly with Mrs. Sherman and Renata Linguini. Bingo. But wait, who is her granddaughter?
Yeah.
Clearly it is not Darla, and clearly it is not Linguini, so who is it?
It's just
Did
a
Emma
random new
have
member now
Another child?
to add to the
In
tree.
So far as it is the only explanation, it would seem so. Again, all of this is just half-logic plot hole filling. But before we delve a little and finally factor in the last Toy Story movie, I need to address something commented on Part 12, something that does in fact save most issues from here on out.
Okay.
As you know, there are a few errors with the dates. Well, no, not really errors, just more or less, they aren't as fixed as I'd hoped. They're mostly just ranges, no truly definitive years. As much as I'd hoped for exacts, it simply isn't the case in terms of how to go about solving this. But the new evidence is so definitive that it trumps some of the ambiguity. It has something to do with locations. Remember how I said Emma Jean was traveling around the world, Australia and France primarily? Well, get a load of this. As commented by Eric Casper, a YouTube channel known as Let's Think searched and found that the zip code on Emma's postcard was sent from, get this, France. So for any of you who thought I was pulling European travels out of fucking nowhere, there you go. This is essentially logical confirmation. I went so far explaining things bending over backwards and extending this glorified fanfiction into a family tree we never even begin to see in the films, traveling to various
I think that's a cool
countries.
thing to think
This
about too. I
small
never thought
but
about that.
brilliant piece of evidence is what
I didn't even see
grabs
like the
both ends of this conspiracy
address clearly
and
there
pulls
to think about
around,
it.
connecting the beginning to the end, a closed loop. We end where we began, with the postcard, proving that it all still makes sense, even at the furthest reaches I've ever made. Now on to Harmony and her grandmother, Blue Eyes. So if anything, this is somehow a third girl on Carl's side. There's little evidence more to suggest it.
So a third girl on Carl's side. Is he saying like there's a third, I guess a third wife or girlfriend or whatever?
This is about all we've got. A prominent old Californian woman and proof of her red-haired, light-eyed genetics. Fortunately, the zip code on Emma Jean's postcard is just perfect. Emma Jean was traveling to France. It makes perfect sense. She owns an antiquarian gift shop. She lives relatively near Andy at a carnival fair place, not at all dissimilar to the likes of Carl's balloon-pumping occupation at the circus. She's a kindly, worldly, elder, perfect fit. It just makes sense. Even Gabby the doll looks like some sort of custom-made incarnation of a younger Emma. If any woman in any film is going to be Emma Jean, it is going to be this one. So that's that. Everything has been solved to the best and briefest of my ability. If you have more evidence from the antique
Yeah,
shop,
I don't know if I
be sure
misheard
to
that.
comment.
If like
I will
Carl
be
has a
pinning
third
a
woman,
list of additional evidence that you can find, particularly from Toy Story 4,
because I don't think
because
he'll
the bow
really
on this series of
elaborate on
mine
that. I'm not
needs
sure.
to be tied. This is the last Pixar
I
theory
assume
video
that
you'll
he
see
still
in
thinks
terms
that's
of
Emma
this
Jean.
specific family. Again, I'm going to, later this year, post one enormous compilation of the Californian trilogy, the Ratatouille trilogy, the Finding Nemo trilogy, and this final tetralogy, mixed into one enormous Tredicology, just like I did with the Coraline series. Stay tuned, make sure you definitely subscribe. There's a lot of theories still coming this year. You all seem to prefer it when I take a look at individual characters from Nickelodeon shows, so I'll be doing a little more of that, as well as some
Oh yeah,
updates
watch
on
the
popular
SpongeBob
TV show
theories.
predictions I have.
Those are
As
really
far
fun
as
to
films
watch.
go, I've still got Flushed Away, Ice Age, Hoodwinked, and even more on my mind. So we'll see when I can deal with those too. Make sure to like and, again, comment your evidence towards this woman being Emma, because this is increasingly the ultimate conclusion. The only part that confuses me is the granddaughter, because
Yeah.
we see her nowhere else. This 13-part magnum opus of Pixar's logical correction took everything I had out of me, and this is the end.
Okay. So yeah, there you have it, man. No like hidden thing at the end here. I don't think so. Alright, so yeah, that was pretty much it for the entire playlist here, man. Yeah, so that is it for the first Pixar Mega Theory playlist. Next time we will watch the second one. But yeah, we did end off with the Ginger Theory, and then the Family Tree, the five-dimensional Pixar timeline, and yeah, Toy Story 4 confirmed all of his theories. Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, as you saw with me here, I feel like with this, like all these theories here, like in this playlist, um, definitely the more it could be like the more complex for me to like really take it all in like very easily. Because yeah, I'm just like thinking back to the times where I was watching Alex Bale and then the Theorizer's SpongeBob videos, which so far on this channel, that's like the only two like theory videos that I watch. I do want to expand it out a bit more. Like I would love to like watch the game theories. I feel like yeah, the game theories really is the first one that I've like consumed when it comes to like theory videos in general, I think. But yeah, um I I think it's definitely the most complex that I've like tried to consume so far when it comes to theory videos, because there's like this big timeline, a big family tree. I feel like I couldn't really catch up with like, you know, with all the evidence that he's like laying out with the genetics and all the whole like timeline. Um, but yeah, I feel like that's really the only the only thing I have a hard time with. But that doesn't make it bad though. I think that's more of like a me problem. So you're not sure if I was like the best to watch when it comes to me reacting to uh these videos here. I assume that I was probably more enjoyable to watch when I reacted to the other theories of like the Theorizer and stuff with SpongeBob. But still, it was still like fun to just try to learn and understand. I think for me, like I know like Emma Jean is like the main centerpiece of this whole thing, but as when it comes to like I guess the movies presented here, like if you want to know like one of my favorites or probably my favorite, it would be the Ratatouille stuff. I think still I know I keep on repeating this, but I thought the Gusteau theory was really cool to think about, and I think uh I think especially with the old lady man, I think that one also got me thinking about like you know that's why probably Remy chose to make the Ratatouille, because I'm sure that old lady at the beginning would make that because of Gusteau and stuff. But yeah, I'm sure like Remy has like seen that recipe being made over and over, and then probably wants to make that at the end of the movie, and it just so happened to be a coincidence that like I don't think Remy knew about like the ego being like a relative, or like knows about that specific recipe of Ratatouille. Like it just so happens to like all like the stars are just pretty much aligned for that moment. But yeah, I think definitely the Gusteau theory is my favorite. As for the second one, um, hmm, I'm not sure. I feel like when it comes to the Emma Jean, like the first part of it, like 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 these three videos here, the Emma Jean and the Darla stuff. To me, they feel kind of the same. Though I do feel like over here, the Imogene stuff, I feel like I like that more because I guess for me personally, I feel like he went into more like evidence and all that. I feel like when I was watching the Finding Nemo theories, like he did like extend out some parts. Like at the beginning, it felt like more like an introduction, and then later on, like I think at the very end is when he really tries to showcase like the entire theory and like the whole value of it. Where I feel like with the Imogene, I feel like he was more like informative, like always presenting new things to uh, like be shown. But yeah, that's pretty much my reaction to the last four videos here. Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, I was probably like the most stupid in watching these videos here. But yeah, next time we'll watch the second playlist for the Pixar Mega Theory. We'll see if that's also complicated too. It is the multiverse. It might be a lot of like twists and turns with all the timelines and stuff. So yeah, uh, maybe my brain might be a linguine Alfredo spaghetti noodle. I don't know. But anyway, guys, hopefully, still after all that you guys enjoyed this video. And yeah, can't wait to see more of this whole Pixar Mega Theory because I know you guys told me that his latest video is like pretty much like the ending of it all. And I did see the length of it. I think it was pretty long. So I assume that's going to be like a really important and big video of his. So yeah, can't wait to watch that, man. So yeah, next time the second Pixar Mega 3. And yeah, that was it for the first. So that'll be for now, guys. That's game.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good